right, let me know when you're ready.
Okay, mic check.
Hello, hello.
Yep, we're all good.
All right.
All right. Now we are good and ready to go for this week's episode of the XRS Wheel to Wheel podcast. Took a little bit of an off week because XRS was in an off week, but this week, still, once again, not joined by AK, as he has been sick. And he was supposed to return this week, but just a couple of just mishaps on his part in his traveling work. But we still have a guest for today's episode. In today's episode, we have one of the greatest drivers XRS has ever had. In fact, he's number one on the all-time Cup win list. We have Exiv on the podcast here this week with us. So, Exiv, thanks for tuning along this week.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. So, you're the all-time XRS Cup Series winner. You have 21 victories. So, obviously, you have a lot of history behind XRS. You were here long before we were even called XRS. So, how did you even get involved in this league?
Well, see, I first joined, or my first XRS races were like late 2017. At this time, I was running a lot of races in other leagues, or specifically this one league that you know of called Red Solo Cup. And it's like one day there was a looking for group for PPRL or whatever, and I joined that, and I just came onto the scene and started winning. So yeah.
Yeah, so Red Solo Cup, that was a long time ago, competing in Red Solo Cup. But obviously, I think they still run and operate a little bit.
They do.
Yeah, obviously very, very much smaller in comparison to us here at XRS. So, yeah, you were long here when it was called PPRL, and that's where you found a lot of your success, because you haven't really been here too often when we actually made that brand switch to XRS.
No, I haven't.
Yes. So for you, you've kind of been in the back burner here of when we actually did switch the name to XRS. So what have you been seeing from your perspective of how the league has gone in different directions compared to when you last raced full time?
Um, I think it's still growing. The league is still what it was before. It's just under
Hmm.
a different name. But, obviously there's new names and stuff. Like, there's a lot of people I don't even know that are in the league
Oh
now.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
to be quite
yeah,
honest, I don't even know what's going on right now. So,
yeah. I believe throughout especially the past two seasons, we've had for sure. Like, you know how it is for the first race. Typically, we get a full lobby or even more than
mhm.
24 show up for that lobby. And there's been a lot of new faces every single time. Obviously, you get the people like Reno, Culture, Cart, Panda,
Yeah.
who's now been here for a while. So you get those repeated names, D-Dog and others, that they've all been here for a while. But some new faces. I mean, recently we've had guys like Subsonic. We've had him join. We have fairly new other drivers. I'm blanking on his name. I hate that I'm blanking on the name, but you get the point. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had a lot of people show up in the past few weeks. So over your XRS career, you've gotten 21 career victories. Whether if that's accurate or not, I don't know, because you were the one keeping track for a lot of those wins. I remember when you had the
Yeah,
list on your
they're all
phone.
legit. Yeah, I still got the
Yeah, you
list.
keep track. Okay. Yeah. So 21 career victories. Hawk, it looked like he was catching up to you, but then obviously this season he couldn't. But either way, this season we have drivers like Vanquish, who's winning left and right. MVP also a really fast guy who's, I would say, slightly faster than Hawk in terms of raw speed.
Right.
So a lot of competition has ramped up this year. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the playoffs or not.
I know it just
Uh,
started. I heard about that.
hmm So yeah, the playoffs they just started, and we actually have a very interesting situation that could very much happen. So one of our playoff drivers, Tython, who's sitting third in the standings, he actually came over to us and he said that, hey, my console is just not turning on.
Mm.
And he's having issues, and he has until Thursday to get back to us if something could get resolved or not, some sort of solution, because we're not delaying this weekend's race. We're not delaying the
Yeah.
race. And if Tython gives up his playoff spot, then that would make it to where Reno gets out of the wild card and in the top 8, and then Off-Road Hype would be given the ninth spot. Because then we go like just exactly like last season. Once again, don't know if you remember, but Culture, he gave up his championship 4 spot and gave it to, coincidentally, Off-Road. So we could have Off-Road be sitting in a similar situation to last season. And it's it could get very interesting. Tight point separations around the cut line with our new playoff system. And speaking of, we've used this playoff system for obviously this season, and last season was the first season that we experimented with it. What do you think is a more challenging playoff system? To where back when you won your cup championship, you there was no playoffs. Back when you won
Yeah,
yours,
there wasn't.
it was one season all the way through, and you needed to just fight with other drivers at the end of the season on points. So, do you think a playoff format is more challenging than no playoff format, or what's your perspective on that?
Uh, you could go either way because with the playoff format, you can be good all season and then you could blow it in one race.
Mm-hmm.
But also with the other format, when I won, you had to be really committed. Like you can't miss races. You had to run good every week. And then towards the end of the season, honestly, when I won my championship, it wasn't even close. No one was even close to me because that's just how well I performed that year. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the playoff format, it makes it more competitive. I guess it like just makes it more intense because when I did win the championship, it's like I already knew I was gonna win. It's kind of like back in the day of like Winston and stuff, they would like already know who's
Yeah.
gonna win. So,
Mm-hmm. Like
yeah.
back late '90s when Gordon won his championships, to where
Yeah. Like they
wasn't it
already
that
knew at
one?
Phoenix. So,
Yeah, they are. They already do like it was like 2, 3 races before the actual
mm,
championship race. They're like, yeah, we know he already won. So,
yeah.
I mean, in a way, you can think of it almost as Formula One, because sometimes if you're dominant enough in Formula One, like I think Verstappen last year, Max Verstappen, he secured the championship with like 3 races to go. With 3 races to go, it's like, oh yeah, he's already gotten enough points. So, but it has gone the other way though in that system to where it can still come down to that last race. To
Yeah.
where
Well,
what wasn't it? What did
um,
it fight?
I got a
Yeah.
story about the following season
Mm-hmm.
at that point. Season 13, I won championship, right? Was it, I think
Yeah,
13.
it was like season
Anyway,
13, season 12 around there.
season 14, only person that was keeping up with me at that time was Browning,
Mm-hmm.
and it came down to the last race. And well, I was still like ahead, but like all I had to do was finish the race or whatever. That would have been
Mm-hmm.
back to back. But I had some stuff go down. I don't know if you remember that, and I had to leave the race.
Oh
But
yes, I
yeah,
do remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, it,
That was a long time ago, but yeah, I
yeah, it
remember
was.
it.
But yeah, it could still come down to the final race. But yeah.
Then it was the following season, season 15, when Deathbro won his championship. That's when we switched to the playoff format.
Hmm.
So, season 15, but that was a very, I'm going to be honest, that was a very weird playoff format. Remember when we
Yeah,
had
it's strange.
two race rounds?
Yeah,
Or
it's just ridiculous, honestly.
yeah, because I think the way that it worked, I'm trying to remember. I think it was 6 drivers, and then the first race, fifth and sixth were fighting to advance. It
Hmm.
was only the last 2 drivers fighting to advance. Then the second race, it was fourth and fifth fighting, and then the last race, it was everybody fighting for the top 2 spots, to where
Yeah.
eventually the championship would be just 2 people.
Um,
So weird that
I
playoff
don't even
format.
remember like who he was fighting for it, to be honest.
I want to say he was fighting Hawk. I want to say Deathbro. It was Deathbro and Hawk in that championship, because
Maybe.
this was the first time the championship race was at Daytona, too.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I was around for that one or not. I think I was. Sure.
Yeah, I think you were. You just weren't back and forth with it as much. I think because there was like a few weeks that you weren't here, but I think you said it was because of work, something like that.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, because
Season six, season 16, you came back not in NASCAR though. You won the IndyCar championship, and that was one that it was between me and you.
yeah, it was between me and you, but I think big factor of that was I wasn't really full time in that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I missed a lot of
yeah,
races and still won that. But
yeah. Well, and also it was more skewed towards attendance because me,
yeah,
I wasn't the fastest, especially on road courses,
yeah,
and that made it to where it was my attendance that got me there, and you missed a lot of races. But then
mhm,
also that last race was double points. He
yeah.
made the championship race double points. I think I would have won it if I had finished the race, but
You
Xfinity
lagged
said
out.
"F you." Yeah, Xfinity told me "F you." You're not winning a IndyCar championship.
Funny. I felt so bad.
hmm Then that's so. Then really, it's been since then where you've kind of been away. Because then season 17, I mean, you were there, but like you were here and there for the past few seasons. It wasn't really until season 19, season 18 area where you kind of disappeared a little bit.
Yeah.
Not necessarily disappeared because you were still here. From our end, from the end of social media when we post about who's there, from the streams on who's there in the race. Yeah, you're not there, but you've been in our Discord server the entire time. I mean, me and you were still in that Facebook chat
Yeah.
that is kind of just there,
Mm. Yeah,
and
I'm still
it's just
around.
been all over. Yeah, it's still around, just not active
Not racing right
hmm
now.
right now. I remember you made a small video a while back saying that you'd be back for the championship race this year. Are you still going to hold up to that, or has plans changed
Uh,
a little bit?
what was it, April 15th?
It was somewhere around there. Yeah, I can double check here.
Yeah, I'll probably be
When
there. Yeah. I think I'll try to make an effort
it's
to do that.
actually April 22nd. April
April
15th
22nd.
is the yeah. April 15th is the transfer race at Indianapolis.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be there. Um,
Yeah. I mean, it'll
yeah.
be nice to have you back full time because now I feel like the competition would be like insane if we had a lot of our full time guys here, because I would I would be in awe being in that spectator point of view now with me at the broadcaster role, to where if we had you, Hawk, Cart, Sunday, MVP, Vanquish, all of you guys competing full time in a championship season, that might be one of our closest and best fights we could ever have.
Yeah, I
Because
agree. Unfortunately, I just don't know if that's gonna be possible ever again, to be honest, you know. Like,
obviously, yeah.
yeah. Like I was a kid, I was in high school, COVID happened, I had nothing to do but race. But like now
Hmm.
I got a life,
Yeah.
I got stuff to do. So I would
No,
love to
I
do it,
understand.
but like I just don't think it's possible.
See, that's the part that we sometimes hate. Because I think one main reason, because at the end of the day, it's a video game, but at the same time, okay, yes, the cars that we drive are fake. They're simulated in a game. The tracks that we drive on are recreated by developers of the video game. So yes, we're not doing the real thing. But that racing and that passion that a lot of these guys have, we still hold to that. Because whether if it's us trying to replicate what they do in real life, or if it's just liking motorsport, because practically everybody who drives likes motorsport. I mean, you're a big Harvick fan,
Yep.
massive Harvick fan. You
The
have,
Harvick fan. Yeah.
oh yeah, the Harvick fan. We'll say that, the Harvick fan, because you've been running the 29. I don't think I've ever seen you in a car other than the 29,
I actually won.
unless you have.
Yeah, let's go into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first started out, uh I was always a Harvick fan. That's how it always was. But I didn't want to like run before or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So like I tried to make my own car. I ran the 17 for a while at the very beginning, and then I ran a 41
Ah.
in PPRL when I first started, and I won my championship actually in the 41. And then the season after that, I switched to the 29 because I finally branched out on my own and started DBM,
Mm-hmm.
and that's I've been in the 29 ever since then. So,
Which is still a very long time that you've been in the 29.
oh yeah, long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that completely passed my mind. Yes, yeah, I do remember a picture of your car. I wasn't actively competing in PPRL by any means, but
Hmm.
I do remember now a picture of your car to where you were the 41. Then here
Yeah.
I came, and then I started driving the 41 when I first came in.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I did your championship justice, but in that car.
Yeah. Well, fuck. Sorry. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but you were on my team for a while in the 41, actually, I think.
Yeah, I was driving the 41 for you. That was that was a whole fiasco that happened overnight, and I had no idea what happened. All I know is that it was you and Adam. You and him were talking, and then I went to bed. And then when I woke up, all of a sudden I have a million Facebook messages, and it's I'm in a group chat with you and a few other people called DBM, and I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Because you
Honestly,
literally formed that team overnight.
yeah. Well, what happened was, I think me and Adam fought about something, and like I just had enough. I was like, I don't need to be on your damn team, and
Hmm.
I know these guys will follow me over here, and I started my own. And yeah, I just added guys I knew that would be on my team. We worked
Hmm.
together pretty well, especially me and Hawk at Daytona for the longest time.
Oh, you don't need to remind me of those.
Yeah, it's just blowouts we got together.
Yeah, yeah, of you guys being probably a lap ahead of the field
Yeah,
almost.
but yeah, that was a long time ago.
hmm I mean, still today we have drivers who can be dominant, but we do have a rule against tandeming. So now it's actually made our Daytona races so intense and crazy. It
Yeah, I
would,
bet.
yeah, and especially it's awesome from the broadcast perspective. It's way different. Like, I mean, you can ask MVP. He was the last guest with me in the booth in AK's absence, so obviously we have a replacement. And MVP was the replacement for Daytona. He was already in the booth a few times as a competitor, and him viewing our Daytona races, he simply said at the end of the race, "Wow." With
Hmm.
first and second not being able to work with each other, it literally can form 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all having a shot for the lead in a split second. If a bobble, small mistake happens, and we still had that when you and Hawk were around. But it
Yeah,
was
we
the
did.
second you guys were together, and it was especially towards the end of the race. It's gone. Nobody
Mm.
would catch you.
No one would, no one would even try to keep up because they just knew they couldn't. So,
That's a different level of dominance, right there. I think that's why. I mean, both you and Hawk are successful. You're practically both 1-2 on the all-time win list. Hawk, he has 2 championships for himself, and you're
mhm.
still a little bit behind. You have one, so if it's possible. Do you
Maybe one
think
day I'll get another.
maybe?
Maybe one
Do,
day.
do,
Not on this game though.
ah, but do you think if you can find the time and maybe some commitment? Because I don't know, all this time when you've been away, have you like kind of had that small feeling like, man, I want to go and race, or no, you've just been enjoying being away from racing for a little bit.
It's been nice. For the longest time in Arizona at least, because it's not that late
hmm
at night when we'd race.
Yeah.
Um, for the longest time I wouldn't do anything with my Saturday nights except for race. And
hmm
it's been nice actually going out with friends and stuff like that for a while, but there would be there would be times when, especially like if there was arguments or something, like in the group chat, like I knew if I was there, it'd be different. Like I always had the urge to race sometimes. I mean, I still
hmm
do, but yeah, I still do get that sometimes. Like, just doesn't fit into my schedule, unfortunately. You know.
Yeah, and I mean that's life sometimes. Everybody can get booked up. Everybody can get busy, and it'll be it will be nice though to see if we can have you back on track again. At least maybe for a part time season. Even you being there half the time. I'm sure, like I said, of a bunch of other guys who I said could also be there. Cart, Hawk, Vanquish MVP. If these guys decide to continue Sunday, because Sunday's been away for a while too.
Right.
After after his dominating season, to where he didn't win the championship, but after his dominating season, um, he really hasn't been active since then. And oh my god, Rocket is bothering me in the chat.
You don't.
Oh, Rocket has a question for you.
What's the question?
He's saying, why did you roast him after wrecking him for the win?
What time?
Yeah, Rocket, what time are you talking about?
I don't remember. Oh, I think I know what he's talking about, probably.
You
He's not talking.
forget?
I didn't. I didn't wreck anyone for a win. I pulled like the best bump and run ever on
The
this man.
best bump and run ever.
Yes, I there's a video of it somewhere.
Is that what
Uh,
we're calling wrecking for the win? The
no, it
best
wasn't.
bump and
I
run
didn't wreck
ever?
him. If I could find the video, we were running. Remember those Mustangs, those Hot Wheels Mustangs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I forget. I don't know. It's one of PPRL's like I forget what we called it. It was like basically like the Xfinity series or whatever. I was like
Yeah.
bushwhacking, whatever the hell you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the last lap, and we were running those at Indianapolis, and basically I got up right behind him in turn three and kind of just pushed him out of the way, and then he was still fine. He's going on behind me, and then he sim twitched and he just went straight into the wall. That's not my fault. You just ran out of talent, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't wreck you.
Oh, now
I
you're
won.
He goes, he took a clip of himself wrecking me at Indy, coming to the line, and made it
Oh
into a
crap.
meme. You made it into a meme. Oh, Rocket has it saved on his phone, so maybe he could send it to you.
Yeah,
That
I think you'll
he
remember
gets
it.
nom flashbacks in turn 4.
Yeah.
Dang.
I don't know. It's like back then, I feel like if I was racing, like I know it's kind of stupid to see this, but like I feel like I'm like probably one of the last people you want to see behind you. You
Oh,
know,
there
like
were some of those moments. The rare moments where I was leading a race every now and then. I did not want you behind me.
yeah, because you knew
Because
I was gonna do whatever it took to get past you. Like I wouldn't straight up
oh
wreck
yeah.
you, but I
Mm-hmm.
would definitely put you. I'd get you out of the way somehow.
Mm-hmm. You were very much like a Dale Earnhardt esque of I don't want this guy behind me.
Yeah,
He's gonna.
I always tried to carry that kind
Mm-hmm.
of mentality in this league, and I always tried to speak my
But
mind
but
on everything.
but then why exactly have that Earnhardt esque mentality? Is there any reason behind it, or are you just being yourself there?
Why? Well, I just
Because
always
some drivers
thought that's
attempt to.
come to what?
Attempt having that same mentality as well. Like they try to. Some people it's different motives. Some people feel like they just want to. They try to act like they're Earnhardt because they want to be Earnhardt, but then other people. I think you're not trying to act like Earnhardt for sure. You have your very own take on it. You have your own take on how you're trying to keep that ideal up. To where yes, what you just said is very true. uh, from my perspective at least, I don't know from other people's perspective of, yeah, I don't want you behind me towards the end of a
Yeah.
race if we're fighting for the win. I would rather be behind you, but at the same time, that's if we're equally as fast. If you get around me, I don't think I'm catching you.
Right. But yeah, I've always just been myself, like I always, I got into NASCAR as just a little kid.
Mhm.
And Harvick's always been my dude and everything, and Harvick kind of has that as well, and just like I don't know, it's always taught me it's like just an example of how it should be, how you should race. It's kind of the old style.
Mhm.
You know, I'm always trying to be, always try to keep that alive with this league. It never, I don't know, just old school, I guess. I don't know.
And I mean, yeah, that you're always gonna have that old school guy, in I think racing in general, because there's typically always old school in racing. The only time that you might not find old school is that literally if it's a brand new motorsport in general
Yeah,
and you have a bunch of guys who are all around the same age. But even if you have a bunch of guys who are all around the same age, it's not necessarily age that makes it old school. It can be mindset. Because for the longest time, you and like you and me, we were kind of around the same age range of everybody else in the league.
Hmm.
But you obviously were thinking and racing very differently in comparison to a lot of other people.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the advantages I had, honestly, was I would race and think differently than everyone else. I think that gave me a huge advantage.
Yeah, because without that physical battle that the real drivers face, the real drivers like the physical, like
Yeah.
just fight that you're taking in the race. There's still that mental fight that you're trying to do every single race. And for us, being behind a controller or a plastic racing wheel, all we have is the way that we think on how we're going to make our moves, utilize whether if there's certain physics in the games, like, oh, this would work in real life, but this won't work in a video game. Or the opposite.
Yeah.
This can only work in a video game and you can't do this real life. Shout out to Ross Chastain. But you have all these differences in how you're thinking and how you go about your race. So
Yeah.
we've talked here a lot on your career, your championships throughout the seasons. A lot of throwbacks of me and you talking here. But let's get into actual NASCAR here. Not
Gotcha.
XRS NASCAR, but
Yeah.
IRL NASCAR. So you've always been a Harvick fan, but this is his last season, dude. Or do you actually believe that? Do you think it's really his last season, or do you think he's gonna pull a Jimmy Johnson and come back part time, or something like that?
Uh, no, I believe this is the end of his full-time career.
Hmm.
I do believe that, but I know he said he's done with the Cup Series after this. But I think someday he'll make some starts here and there, or even Xfinity starts. Like he'll be around the sport. He's gonna be commentating and everything. So he's not
Oh
really
yeah,
leaving. So
he did say that he'll be in the booth. I
so
mean,
yeah,
is there
I
gonna be
believe it.
another driver that you would then root for after he's gone?
Oh, see, it's a tough
Is that the?
question right now. That's
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, man. I just been delaying it. I'm just trying to enjoy.
Hmm.
Like I got my heart broken at Phoenix, so. Uh, Like I was at that race and I looked
Hmm.
like I was gonna win. I was on my feet, every time we went around pointing down the track and everything. Uh and then that caution came out, is that's hard to watch. But I'm gonna try and enjoy this last season. I'm gonna go to the championship race, I'm hope for the best. Maybe he gets there, maybe he wins the championship. That'd be great. I would love to see that. But if not, he had a great career, but going forward, I'm gonna have to. I can't just be a NASCAR fan. I gotta find someone new.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just hard to make that decision. But I just gotta see who takes over the four car. Gonna be one of my factors. But if it's someone I don't really like, if it's like Riley Herbst that goes into the four car or Cole Custer, I think I can't do it. But I don't know. It depends on someone else. But if I had to go outside of the four car and choose someone, it's probably gonna have to be. Ugh. I want to pick a. I do want to pick a younger driver, but I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. If I'm being honest. I think I'm gonna have to go with Benny Hamlin or Kyle Busch, dude. I just gotta. I don't know. I'm more of a heel type of dude. I don't really like the Golden Boys. Really, I don't really like that. I was trying to go against that. Just how I've always been. So I don't know.
Hmm.
One of those guys. We'll see.
I felt in a similar boat on who I'm gonna root for when my favorite driver Jeff retired.
Right.
When Gordon retired, he was my favorite. He was my favorite, but then when he announced his retirement, it was like, don't know. And I think after Gordon retired, I'm like, okay, I think I picked Carl Edwards. I think I picked
Hmm.
Carl Edwards was my favorite for a little bit, but then he retired all of a sudden, like out of the blue. He's like, I'm
Yeah,
retiring.
I remember that.
Luckily his replacement I end up liking, and now he's still my favorite. That being Suarez.
Yeah.
So
Sure. Yeah, that's tough. But other than him retiring, this season's been interesting so far. Um,
hmm
Something I've noticed though is Logano does not get the credit that he deserves. No one ever puts him in that conversation of being one of the best drivers Cup Series right now. But if he's definitely like top two right now. Like this guy, like he's got, dude, I don't know. Well, how many wins he got? Like 30, and he's only like 29. He's got 30 wins
uh,
already, something like
well,
that. Two championships, 30 wins by age 30. Like this guy, what he's done is going to be one of the best ever. Like no one gives him that credit.
well, I think it could be. I think Logano is going to turn into a Kurt Busch because Logano was not well liked as a younger driver when he
Yeah.
was at Joe Gibbs, and then when he first moved to Penske, he was not well liked, and similar to Kurt Busch, like the rookie, nobody liked Kurt Busch as a rookie, and
Hmm.
nobody liked these guys in their early years. But it was once they got older. Kurt Busch, he was a well liked driver towards the end of his career, and I mean it's unfortunate the way that he has, I think, halted his career. I don't think he's fully done, to where he might wait a little bit, to where he'll come back to a handful of races here and there. Um,
Yeah, it's just the same thing with him though. I think his full-time career is over,
hmm
fortunately.
Yeah, yeah, full time career over, unfortunately. Yeah, with the way NASCAR's next gen car, and that can be a different discussion of if it's like, does that responsibility weigh all the way on NASCAR on, hey, this car was rushed, or the car wasn't up to design specs or safety specs, not design. Unfortunately, could that have been prevented? But I think that's a different conversation, so let's not steer into
Yeah.
that direction. But uh, where do you think Harvick will end up with this season? Because I think a good precedent to set on your retiring season is what Gordon did. Gordon, he was in the championship four in his final
Yeah.
season. He didn't have a car that could win him the championship by any means, but I think he ended up finishing third out of the four drivers. But I think that's the precedent that you set. And like, it's because you hear these Cinderella retirement stories, like you had Peyton Manning in the
Hmm.
NFL winning a Super Bowl in Denver and then retiring. So, do you think Harvick can achieve that with what you've seen so far in his performance this season, or is he just gonna have his season and then wave to the fans goodbye?
Uh, I mean, every race this season, he's been, at least compared to the last couple years, he's been way more competitive than he has like ever been the last few years. Every race, he's led laps. He's been in top 10 almost every race, but when things happen, like he should already have a win, and then Atlanta wrecked it from the lead, just how it goes. But he's been
Mm-hmm.
competitive this year. Like I really do think he's not going to go out like Jimmy Johnson, that's for sure. That's what I do
Mm-hmm.
know. I mean, I think he's already done better than that. But like I said, it would be great for him to win going out and have that Peyton Manning. type of retirement, but
Mhm.
in reality, I see him making a deep playoff run, maybe even gets to the Final Four. Who knows? Uh, but I honestly doubt he's gonna win it. Who knows? I could be wrong, but yeah, I do truly believe he's gonna be competitive. He's gonna be a threat all the way up to the end. So,
Mhm. Now, let's say if you were like, okay, you're undecided whether if he could make it to the Final Four or not, and but who do you think out of all the other drivers that you've seen this season, like who would you have as your Final Four, your championship four in NASCAR for this
oof.
season?
Right
Who's the
now,
four drivers that you got?
excluding Harvick, uh, well, for sure, I know Logano's gonna get there. He's
Hmm.
just he's great. Byron, I'm not too sure. I don't think he's gonna do it. Uh, Honestly, I think Hendrick's gonna have a down year now. But I might be wrong.
Yeah.
So my final four is gonna be Logano. I see I see Hamlin. Mm, Who else? Who else? Who else? Tough. I want to like to, just gotta. I had to pick a Chevy in there somewhere because honestly, Larson he probably gets there, and I'm gonna say my wild card is. Hmm, uh, I don't know. I can't decide on the fourth, man. It's tough. I don't know. It's too early in the season for this. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's fairly early, and I mean, the season that we had last season for the next gen car
Yeah.
debut, I mean, it was insane. Because didn't we have what? It was 20 or 21 different winners, something like
Yeah.
that.
21
And
winners
then,
and just so much could change. Like right now, like who's competitive and who's got like the power rankings. Like even
hmm
Logano, like he's doing great right now, but like who knows, he could fall off and just be terrible the rest of the season. Who knows? But
because we did see that with a handful of drivers last season. Last
yeah.
season, Penske was kind of under the radar the entire year. Nobody talked
Mhm.
about Penske until, oh, crap, Logano's in the championship four. Um,
Yeah, and
and
he
then,
won it without people even like talking about it. He
yeah,
just came in and won just quietly and he got it. No one expected it. Who else was it? Everyone thought well, who it was Elliott Logano, who else? Larson
it was
and
Elliott, Logano, Larson, and Chastain. No, wait, no, 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 no. It was, no, because Christopher Bell was in there.
oh
It
yeah,
was
it was Bell.
yeah, Bell, Logano,
Everyone thought it was going to be
Bell,
between
Logano,
Larson and
Chastain.
Elliott,
Was
though.
it
That's what everyone thought.
for
And
most
then,
of the season? A lot of people thought that, but Elliott, his playoffs were
yeah.
he did not do good. I don't think he. I think he got one top 10 in the playoffs.
hmm
Throughout all those races, he got one top 10. All of the other races, he was outside the top 10. He just was not performing at all.
Yeah.
And that's what can happen. Like, we could see that. To where Elliott, he had. Because Elliott had the most successful regular season campaign. But then playoffs hit, he does terrible.
Yeah.
And
It
who knows?
happens.
Some guys who are a little bit under the radar right now. I think the Trackhouse guys, both of them, are kind of under the radar right now. Chastain, he's been up there, and he usually
Yeah.
outperforms Suarez. But then Suarez, he started very good at the start of the season. He had three top tens. in a row. So there's good speed in both of those cars, but not many people talk about him a little bit.
Yeah,
I
or even
mean, that's
Keselowski. Keselowski's been
Keselowski. Oh
he's
yeah,
been
Keselowski.
been
He's
having a
been on
killer
fire.
year so far. Yeah, that's what he'll
He's
do.
hungry. I think he's hungry. He for sure
Yeah,
he wants back. He wants to get back to winning, and he's fairly developed RFK pretty well. Like he
yeah,
wasn't
they're definitely on the
very
come up.
like I would say with RFK with the way that Brad has been helping with Roush Fenway is he wasn't necessarily doing the 23XI or the Trackhouse route. Excuse me. Here, got hiccups for no reason. Um, because 23XI and Trackhouse, I mean, they both have celebrity co-owners, being Michael Jordan and Pitbull. So they did a lot of PR. I feel like those teams did a lot of PR. You barely heard anything from RFK. So,
Right.
but then the first season that Keselowski was behind the wheel for that team and being an owner driver, there wasn't a lot. Like you didn't hear about RFK a lot. Chris Buescher, he performed pretty well, didn't he? He got a win. He
Yeah, Buescher
won.
did win. I forget what race, but it
I think
wasn't a
was
super
it Bristol?
speedway. Uh,
I think it was Bristol. Like it was the Bristol night race in the fall. I think that's the race that he won.
maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, Busher he got a win out of nowhere, but it was a pretty dominating win too. Like it wasn't like Busher all of a sudden got the win. No, like
Yeah.
he had a really good car, and now Brad he just seemed behind last season, but now this season he looks up to par with Busher, and he's actually outperforming Busher this year. So who knows? They work really well at
Yeah.
the super speedways. I'm shocked how well they worked in the 500.
Yeah, Sam. It's too early to make those decisions.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna root for Harvick the whole way. That's just how it's just gonna be. But who knows?
I mean, hey, you got to go with your guy until he's done. You got to go
Yeah,
for your guy. I mean, just
stay
like with
loyal.
my example with Gordon. Yeah, I was rooting for Gordon all the way, and I was so happy at Martinsville when he won.
Yeah. Did you go to the race?
No,
Oh,
I have not been I have not been to a NASCAR race until last year. Last year
really?
I went to my very first NASCAR race. It was the Indy Road Course race. Tyler Reddick won last season. So yeah, that was my first ever Cup race.
My first
I've
cup
got
race was, I want to say, I was real little. I was like 2 years old probably.
oh God.
Yeah, I went to Phoenix. I think Dale Jr. won actually. Cool. Forget what race it was, but one of them.
Yeah, no, the only races that I went to really young were drag races.
Mm,
And seeing Top Fuel and Funny Car going all out. Yeah, those were the only races I went to when I was young. But I didn't become a fan of drag racing. I mean, yeah, I enjoyed going to the events, but I didn't actually become a fan. Like I have lost track of any drivers and teams who do that. All I know is like John Force. Like I know that.
right.
I know Brittany and Courtney Force. Like I know that I know them, but I know like no one else in drag racing. Um, IndyCar, I got into a little bit before NASCAR, and I've been to a handful of IndyCar races. I've gone to two Indy 500s, and I went to one championship race at Chicagoland.
Mm. Yeah, I've only ever been NASCAR. Always been diehard NASCAR. So,
IndyCar's fun. Don't knock it till you try it.
well, they just don't race out here anymore. I'd love to go to one, but they don't race out here.
Oh yeah, they used to race at Phoenix.
Yeah,
I think they only raced like 1 or 2 years though at Phoenix.
my dad actually did a ride along with Dan Weldon in the early 2000s. You know who that is?
Oh, when they did the two-seaters? Was it
Yeah,
was
it's
it
like
like a two-seater? Yeah.
yeah, it was a two-seater like right along around Phoenix Raceway.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a couple signed hats and stuff. Cool.
That's cool. That's cool. I've never actually met a driver either.
Oh, like of
I'm
any series or what?
of any series. Of literally anything. I've never met a driver. I'm sure
Hmm.
you've met a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm always in the infield every year at Phoenix. I'm always like,
What is that? Oh my god, I'm sorry.
what?
The chat. What is that, Hawk?
What do you
What is
say? What do you
that?
say?
He didn't say anything. It's like a sticker. What is that sticker?
What is it of?
I don't know. It's like that frog. It's like
Oh, that stupid thing.
my god. Okay. Sorry about that. That really threw me
I honestly forgot what we were talking about.
the drivers that you've met. That's
Oh,
what.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm always in the infield at Phoenix every year, like literally face to face with people. God, I just gotta say, like, when Kyle Larson is like standing in front of you, like face to face, it's like I'm just towering over this man. Like I could break this man in half. Like it's like not even a joke. Like this man is so small. Like holy crap. Like I'm not even kidding. Like, he's so tiny. But he's a great race car driver. So, they come in all different sizes and shapes, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So, I mean, here looking at time, we can get wrapping up here shortly of really this episode and this whole conversation. It was nice having you here. You really haven't been active in a lot of XRS catered events,
Yep.
whether it be the actual races or really this a new experience. But you did show interest practically almost immediately of being on the show, but it was just due to schedule and timing conflicts that we
Yeah,
weren't
I've
able to do it until
been trying
now.
to do this for a while. Yeah, just haven't been able to fit it in. Now we finally got to, so nice.
Yeah, yeah, it was nice. So thank you for tagging along here for this week. Okay, now everybody's going off in the chat with that sticker.
Mm.
I have a bunch of stickers. Um, so, yeah, hopefully we'll see you, whether it be here on the track, in the booth. I mean, because I remember you have done broadcasting in your career a little bit. Um, so, there's
A
many
couple
different ways.
times.
Yeah, many different ways that you can still get involved or be around XRS a little bit more often. But, yeah, thank you for tagging along for this week's episode.
Yep, thanks.
So now, big thanks to the creator of that logo right there that you should see on your screen. The Wheel to Wheel podcast logo, made, of course, by D-Dog. So we need to give a shout out to him every week. And then also, obviously, a shout out to AK. He hasn't been here, but he has still helped out. He is the producer of the Wheel to Wheel podcast and this collaboration that we've still been able to do and continue. Hopefully, we continue for a long time. And we will hopefully see him joining me in here soon. And Exif, we will see you whenever. But good luck on whatever. Whether if it's you're trying to get a raise at your job, whatever, good luck on that. I don't know. So,
Yeah, thanks.
whatever it may be. So, thank you guys for being in the stream here, being in the chat, and we will see you next time.
I'll be
Good
back.
day.